Hello YouTube and welcome to another Techsloth video. A lot of people ask me always, Techsloth, you got both devices, which one should I buy? The new Apple iPad Air or the new Apple iPad Mini with a Retina display? First things first, both devices got nearly exactly the same hardware built in. They got the same A7 CPU, they got the same cameras, front and back side, they got the same screen resolution. So you get close to exact the same hardware, and both devices give you the same performance and speed. So this is not a decision about which one is faster, better or else. This is just typically it comes down to maybe 2.5 points. Number one, screen size. Number two, weight. And number three, the only really difference here, speakers. But first, let's take a look around. We got on both devices, we got a 9.7 inch screen on the iPad Air and a 7.9 inch screen on the Mini with Retina. And both devices got the same resolution, so 2048 times 1500, I guess 36, I guess, and the same resolution on the iPad Mini Air. And now, because of the difference in screen resolution, we got a different PPI value. This is pixel per inch. So this means on the iPad Mini with Retina, we got over 300 pixel per inch, and this is really nice. Over 300 is good. We got, I guess, 324 or 26, and on the iPad Air, we got 60 PPI less. It's around 264. And yes, you will definitely notice a difference here. If you first look at the iPad Mini or first on the iPad Air and then switch, you will notice a difference. Is it hard? Not really. The iPad Air is still sharp. Apple is calling it Retina. Retina is just a marketing name for this. Apple is telling that you can't, if you're holding it on a normal way, in a normal distance from your eyes, you won't be able to recognize any pixels. Yes, but you will still be able to recognize difference in sharpness between an Apple iPad Air and an iPad Mini with Retina display. If you go to a normal website, and you will notice we get exactly the same stuff on both devices. This is because they both got the same resolution. So even the last half line here is exactly the same. But the difference here is because of the different screen sizes. The letters and sentences on the iPad Air are bigger. So if you don't want to zoom in all the time, or if you have problems with your eyes or anything, you don't want to read the small stuff, the small letters here, and you don't want to zoom in, it might be better for you to take the big iPad Air just for being able to read a little bit more easy. And this is something that you can see all over the iPads, in every app, all the way. So this was normal surfing stuff. Let's go for reading, for example. Okay, it's German, but reading, you can see the screen size difference here. Not the screen size, the letter size difference here. But in most reading apps, may it be Scoby, may it be Amazon, Kindle, you can change the letter size, so this won't affect you. But in my opinion, what a difference that you might feel is the iPad Mini is more as a normal paper side. Not a paperback, but a hardcover, and this looks nearly close the same to your normal page size. If you're reading on an Apple iPad Air, this feels different because it's not the normal book size. It's too big and it feels weird. It's still okay, it's still fine. Reading is on both devices is good, and I read a lot of books on them and I enjoy it, even on the bigger screen. And just to give you a little, the other way around is, for example, comic books. Here is it totally the other way around. The iPad Air is perfectly, even in size, for a normal comic book paper side. So this is here on the iPad Air, reading comics is great. It feels normal, and if you got the HD comics, it's sharp, it's wonderful. On the other hand, reading a comic on the iPad mini with Retina display feels a little bit weird. You have to do sometimes a lot of zooming, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy my comics also on the iPad mini with Retina display, but it's just from the feeling is better on the iPad Air because it's closer to the normal stuff that you are used to. So there's the difference. Another one. People are often saying, use the iPad mini if you're on the go, if you want to read and consume a lot. But if you want to work with your iPad, on your iPad, then get the iPad Air. And let's start Apple's Pages here. So we go back and just do a new one here. And here's the same. Just to give you guys, again, the size difference here. So we got the exact same numbers page on both devices. And again, you can see you got the same content, the same data, the same screen informations on both devices. No difference here. But the stuff on the iPad Air is bigger. You have more room between your lines and all the stuff. And this gives you one advantage. If you want to change something here, if with your finger or with your stylus, and you want to hit a line or a number, this is more easy or easier on the iPad Air than on the iPad mini. Of course, you can get used to it on the iPad mini, but again, typing, exactly the same thing. If you got the on-screen keyboard, I often get this mistakes that people are telling me, yes, get a bigger one with the keyboard. You will still, with the on-screen keyboard in view, you will still be able to view more from your page. This is wrong, as you can see here. We get same resolution, so we got exactly the same stuff on both devices. But with a bigger screen, the things are bigger, the spaces are bigger, and you get the feeling that it's easier, that you have more room to do stuff. And this is the reason why often people choose the iPad Air for the productive tablet if they need to have one, or if they want to have one. Advantage in both devices, they're Apple products, so we got a lot of stuff for them. We got cases, we got keyboard cases and all the stuff which makes typing more easily. Typing on the on-screen keyboard, 10 fingers, not really. Often you use 6 or just 2 for typing around. And yes, typing on the bigger screen but is of course definitely nicer than on the smaller one, but still doable. No problems here. It's just if you are using it more productively, then definitely iPad Air. One last thing here, YouTube, and not YouTube, but to give you the impression of the sound here. Both devices are volume to max, so just don't hear what I'm saying here in German, just listening to the sound.
Hallo YouTube und willkommen zu einem neuen Technik-Faultier-Video. Ich bin hier mal wieder mit dem neuen Motor.
So, and now the air.
Wir erinnern uns, ein super...
Whoa.
Hallo YouTube und willkommen zu einem neuen Technik-Faultier-Video.
And you can clearly hear a difference here. This is louder, this is more volume, this gives you a whole lot a better sound experience on the iPad Air. Is this a problem, or yes, it is a difference. Is it a problem for the iPad mini? No. I watched enough stuff on the iPad mini and I enjoyed it too, but definitely the bigger speakers, because the iPad Air is bigger, got more space for speakers, got the bigger speakers, so it sounds better on the iPad Air. What about screen size and viewing? Yes, it's bigger, but you can compensate this one, because if you're holding them close to another, yes, there's a screen size difference, but if you take your iPad mini closer to your eyes, you will at some point reach the same screen size or the same big screen in front of your eyes than with an iPad Air. And if you're even going closer, it will be even bigger. This is the same function and the same feature that is Google Glasses is using. This is just a tiny screen in this Google Glasses, but because they are directly in front of your eye, it's just like a 60-inch television screen. So what else? Of course, we got the weight difference. Around 160 grams, so one whole chocolate and another third of a whole chocolate bar. That's the difference, and yes, you will feel it. But still, the iPad Air is the lightest iPad there ever was, and it feels good. It's wow if you're coming from an iPad Mini, it's just a big screen. If you go back to the iPad Mini, yes, it's tinier, but it's also sharper. You will definitely notice this one. What about battery life? Apple is advertising them with 9 to 10 hours of battery life, and yes, but it depends on how do you use them. If you're playing 3D hardcore intensive games, then you will just get 8.5 hours. If you are shutting it all off, going to airplane mode, lowering the screen brightness, and use it just for reading, that without any problems 13-14 hours of battery life are possible. In my opinion, in my experience, I think when I use both devices the same way, the Apple iPad Air got still at the end of the day or at the end of the week a little bit more battery left than the iPad Mini with Retina. So, I guess now I have all the points that you could possibly ask me. And yes, if there's now someone screaming, yes, they both got the same A7 64-bit CPU, but the one in the iPad Air is faster. Yes, it's still a tiny little bit faster on the data sheet, on the spreadsheet, but in real life you won't notice any difference. Hardware, exactly the same. The thing that you will notice, battery, maybe a little advantage on the iPad Air, and a definitely advantage when it comes to speakers, but on the other hand, the advantage for the iPad Mini with Retina, definitely the PPI value is definitely sharper, and you will notice the difference, and it is lighter to carry around. And one last thing, it's also cheaper. Here in Germany, it's 90 euros cheaper in all combinations you can get there than the iPad Mini, the iPad Air. So, I hope I could answer all your questions. If you have more, write them in the comments and I will answer them before 2030. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!